Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my beautiful listeners. Welcome to I Wrote That, a podcast where we bring industry experts and authors together to talk about all things books. My name is Larissa Sowen. I am your host, book coach, and ghostwriter, and today I have Maeve Ferguson. As featured in Forbes, she is a championing expert to build their evergreen lifestyle and business so that they can work less than 10 hours a week and finally be present with their family. What a great mission to be on. How did you get started in this world?
Hey, Larissa. So firstly, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's an absolute honor. And so how did I get started in this? It's a long story that I'll keep pretty short. So I used to work in corporate. I'm from Northern Ireland, as you can probably tell from my accent. And I worked in the private equity industry in a financial services background. I used to be an accountant of all things. And then, very long story cut short, I ended up catching a virus and I spent 4 years in bed. And when, like anybody that goes through something like that, it really makes you reassess your life and what you're doing with it. So essentially, I recovered, left corporate and set up my own coaching business, and I'm absolutely obsessed and love the business side of things, the marketing side of things, and now over time then evolved into the space where I help coaches to scale their businesses, but to move away from that launch roller coaster and to go evergreen. So ease and flow and being able to build the business machine that allows them to work less than 10 hours a week. I have 2 little ones myself, a little boy and a little girl, and being present with them is one of my highest values, one of the things that is most important to me. And therefore, everything I kind of do in business and support my clients with is all about being as efficient as possible.
That's wonderful. I resonate with so much of your story because, I'm ex-corporate as well. I got sick, had to take time off, and then decided that just wasn't the world for me anymore. And so as far as like you have a book, you were part of a co-author book, it became international bestseller. How have you kind of leveraged that in your business?
Yeah, so I think it's for anybody who's considering doing either a co-author book or their own individual book. It's the weight that adds to you, and being that published author, being that bestseller, it's something that you can you have that credential essentially for your placement in your marketing, and you can really lean in on that as you are positioning your offers, positioning what you do. When you have that kind of air quote badge, it allows you then to really lean in on that for whenever you have that book under your under what you've achieved so far.
Yeah. And I have to ask, because I ask everybody that's done a co-author book, is a full book in your future? Did you get your toes wet and fall in love?
I would absolutely love to do a full author book. I think I'm now in the point of my business where my methodology has been so tried and tested, so true, that it feels like to me it's definitely something, if not in the next 12 months, definitely in the next 24.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that about collaboration books because they help the people get over the fear of I can't write a whole book. But then I don't know if you found this, I did when I participated in my collaboration book. One chapter was not enough.
Yeah, exactly. To me, it was just like it's kind of smashed it out so easily, and I was just like I could have kept writing and writing and writing and writing. But yeah, I think now it's part of kind of like a maturity thing in business. I definitely feel that it was amazing for whetting the appetite for doing a book, but I definitely feel like a single author book would be in the kind of the realm of possibility for me now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I started with the single author book and then did the collaboration book, and it was such a shift in mindset. So it's fun on both worlds for sure. So you mentioned, and I think you're one of the very few people that actually likes marketing. That's very rare, especially in the author world. So talk to us a little bit about what your marketing strategy is. Like, how do you go about it?
Yeah, so essentially this is something that I help my clients with a lot, and I am always kind of seeking out the best funnels, the best way to hyper qualify our leads and bring them forward to us every day. And the way that I have discovered in this industry through a lot of trial and error and a lot of testing is using the power of a quiz funnel. And if you think about what a quiz is, essentially that hook up front, or that question that you ask people, is something that raises curiosity. They want to find the answer to that question. They want to be able to discover something about themselves. And then you're basically bringing them through a quiz funnel that asks them questions in a way that they feel heard and understood, sometimes for the very first time. And then what we're doing inside that quiz funnel is essentially allowing them then to get a diagnosis, like an air quote diagnosis, of the problem that they may be experiencing. And then lo and behold, your offer is the solution to that problem that they are experiencing. So if you think about, if you are an author or an aspiring author, for example, your offer at the back end of your quiz funnel for your clients could actually be your book. And then that can act as a tool where they are inside your book, you're building even more know, like, and trust, and then bringing them into your coaching programs, for example, if you have them.
Mm-hmm. So happy you mentioned know, like, and trust, because there's such degrees, like little step ups to that platform, and a book is a great way to build that. But I like the idea of a quiz because it's just a little seed drop before the full book. It's a little bit of an investment into you and your product. So let's say I have a nonfiction book, and I am trying to bring in clients with it. That's the whole goal of my book. It talks about my methodology. It goes through all the fun coaching things that I do. So how would I set up my quiz funnel? What would that look like?
Yeah, so we always, when we're building a quiz, we always want to start with our offer. Okay, so if you think about what your offer is and what I'll call it your flagship coaching program is, and what that actually helps people with, we want to then almost reverse out of that to create a quiz hook that is going to lend itself to people actually taking that quiz who may potentially want to purchase your coaching offer. Okay, so for example, let's pretend you were to have a quiz and you are helping non-fiction writers to write their book, which is going to build their business. You could have a quiz, for example, what is your business building book potential? So you can see in the hook, you're able to attract their attention, raise curiosity, or which book is the right fit, which book as an author is the right fit for you. Ask a question that raises curiosity, and then you're bringing them through, and throughout your questions, then you are identifying the thing that they are struggling with most. So the people then fall into what we call like categories or buckets. You may have people who get writer's block. You may have people who would love to write the book but don't know how to actually sell it. You would love to, you have all of these different types of people, and the questions that you ask them allow them then to get a diagnosis, and then your coaching program is the solution to the problem that they are experiencing.
Mm-hmm. And the book is just another. So walk me through the back end of the funnel. So they do the quiz, they get to the end. You've collected their email address, which is the biggest part.
Yep.
And
so
then
and then essentially the way we work it, and you think about a quiz funnel, them starting the quiz, every question they answer is like what we call a micro commitment, and they are taking micro commitment after micro commitment, closer and closer and closer to being your lead. Then you tease their result. Okay, so we don't tell them what the result is and what it means, but we tease that result. Then we get the opt-in, and then we tell them what the result is, what that result means, and the impact that it is having on their lives. And then we have then what we call a micro offer there and then for them, something that is a really easy yes, something really low ticket, something that they aren't actually having to think about that investment. It's just such a no-brainer, and it's positioned in a way that it solves their problem that they have right now. So that could be, for example, your book, or if you have another micro offer alongside that book. And then once somebody has then purchased that micro offer, you're then basically ascending them into, whether you run workshops, the way we teach it is like an evergreen workshop at the back end of that, and then goes on to sell your high ticket coaching program. Yeah, so you'll have some people that go through, purchase the micro offer, purchase your book, and then ascend into your coaching programs. You'll have other people who just take the quiz, and then you also ascend them into your coaching programs as well.
Yeah. I really like what you said about talking about how your offer is their solution, and kind of framing the whole quiz, your book, all of that around that. Because when my clients come into the program, one of the first things we do is the client reader avatar, right? That's so basic in the coaching world, is figure out who you're talking to. And a big part of that is figuring out what their problems are, what are their pain points, kind of a thing, so that you can really point out how you solve that. And so the quiz is just one really big focus on pain point kind of a thing. So is that true? Yeah.
It's true, but it also takes them on a journey, and almost, I like to call it like a dance. So as they go through your quiz, and when your quiz questions are crafted appropriately, you're bringing them through this journey of, you ask them something really, really easy just to get them started and get them into the quiz. Then you're going through a couple of like diagnostic questions, and those are the questions that actually determine the bucket that they land into. You also then have some non-diagnostic questions, and these diagnostic questions do two things. They allow you to understand your ideal client and what they're going through, even demographic questions and things like that. But the way they are crafted makes sure that your ideal client going through the quiz realizes, my goodness, this person gets it. They wouldn't be able to ask me this question. And this is all happening subconsciously, obviously, but they wouldn't be able to ask me this question if they didn't understand what I'm struggling with. How do they know that I feel like that? And then we're bringing them through a few questions kind of in the meat, that kind of that center part of the quiz, that really draws on the pain that they are suffering, that what they are struggling with, the breakthrough that they're not able to currently have. And it's quite an emotional experience for them as they kind of realize, oh my goodness, this is what's going on for me. But we don't want to leave them in that negative state. So then what we do is we bring them through and ask them just like the second to last question and the last question, where we're almost like elevating their experience and making them feel amazing again. And the way we do that is by circling them back to their why. So, why are you dreaming of doing this in the first place? What is your reason for being that health coach, life coach, confidence coach? And then that almost circles them back and grounds them back into themselves to realize, actually, I might be struggling with this thing, but actually, yes, this is why I'm doing it. And therefore they're kind of uplifted again. And then at that point, then we tease the result to say, we often use like an acronym. So you'll have, your result is NP. Opt in here to find out what that means. And then once they opt in, then we start to reveal, and this is a really great place as well, where you can show how much you understand your ideal client, in that what we call your outcome video on that success page after they opt in. You're basically saying, look, here's your result. Here's what it means. Here's what's a day in your life might look like. And that is so accurate and so specific that they almost get chills, that you understand what they're going through so much, that then whenever you pivot to your pitch and make your micro offer, where they can kind of click and buy right now to solve that problem, they are just immediately bought in, and it is such an easy yes, because you have described what they're going through so accurately.
Wow. So you really are taking them on a full length journey in 10 questions. Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. That's so
there's a
good.
lot of psychology involved in building these properly. Yeah.
Yeah. And what this relates to me so much is sales calls. And that's one of the reasons I love a book, is because it has the opportunity to cut out those, 45-minute to an hour sales calls, because you're pre-vetting them. But the quiz is doing the same thing. You're bringing them on that full journey. You're getting to know their why, their problems, their motivations, all of these things in 60 seconds. It's hands off, right?
And I think you just touched on an amazing point, and anybody that doesn't have a book yet might want to consider this, is that you have that, imagine the hyperqualification that a quiz has for your ideal clients. It literally hyperqualifies them. Your book compounds that exponentially. So somebody that actually purchases a book, opens that book, reads that book, and has a shift in whatever your topic is because of reading that book, that level of connection is going to be so much further ahead of your competition. It is not even, it's indescribable, really.
It is, yeah. And there's so many ways you can use your book. Like I've had coaches who just give them away for free, pay for shipping only, buy my 99-cent ebook. And there's so many ways to low ticket get into people's hands that result in high ticket sales.
Yeah. And again, if you think about, so I'm really glad you've touched on that. So something that the way I teach marketing is to go evergreen. So get off that launch roller coaster, only opening your doors once a year. But if you think about the opportunity there for anybody that has been through your quiz, you are then, say, for example, if you are just doing postage, it's such, it's going to be like a few dollars. It's just such an easy yes. And then you can actually upsell, downsell. When somebody opts in, you have all your nurture sequences, upselling them, downselling them, click and buy, various different, even if you have a couple of books, you can embed all of that into your evergreen marketing system so that you're literally just bringing these people on a journey and giving them so many touch points to get access to you and to move on to the next level.
Yeah. And coming back to that like trust factor, the more touch points you have with them,
oh yes,
the more likely they are to want to continue to interact with you, to invest in you.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is what I always say to my clients as well. It's something that, people, maybe in their early days of business get triggered by people unsubscribing, but every unsubscribe is you getting closer and closer and closer to your ideal client. And those who cannot, we all have those people where we have maybe 2 or 3 people where we open every single email, we read every single email. When you have created that bond with somebody who has been through your quiz, you've described their problem, their dreams, their desires so accurately and so specifically that they now hang on your every word. When you have then, a drip campaign dropping into their inbox every 2 days for the next year, that relationship is going to build and build and build. And you will have people who purchase your book at the back end of a quiz and become a high ticket client within a few days. But other people aren't there on their buyer journey yet. And when you keep showing up, whenever everything, that nurture is built into that email sequence that you have for them, 12 months from now, when they are finally ready inside themselves, because you have kept showing up, because they have your book, and they now realize that they need help, then you are that number one choice, whether it's today, tomorrow, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. And that's why that long-term nurture matters so much.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beautiful part of a book. Like social media is so, you get 30 seconds of their time and their energy
here today, gone
they're
tomorrow. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Right. But a book, they sit with days, weeks, months, sometimes depending on length and speed of the reader. Like it's just such a powerful marketing tool. The other thing that I want to touch on for a book particularly, and I'm speaking from personal experience at this point, and maybe you are as well. When I wrote my own how-to book, my own coaching-based book, I unlocked like 2 years worth of marketing materials in that book. Did you find the same thing with your collaboration chapter? Were you able to pull marketing materials out of that?
I think it's what I would say is my methodology has been able to evolve because of that. So, again, I think the same with our programs, same with our methodologies, they become more and more and more refined over time. And I think actually having to sit down and write a chapter, or in your case, like write a full book, it really makes you actually articulate your principles, what you stand for, the beliefs that you're trying to shift, your position on things. And then by virtue of doing that, then your methodology is kind of out there, and then you start to evolve that methodology over time. And this is where, where I see future books coming. It's like my methodology now is different to it was when I wrote that book, maybe 3-4 years ago. So it's like the methodology evolves, and my methodology 4 years from now will have evolved as well because of the industry and the space that I am in. It's, it's online marketing. It changes every minute, never mind every year. And that methodology will continue to grow and evolve. And writing a book, whether it's a chapter in a book or an entire book, allows you to really become clear on your own methodology.
I love that you said that, because that's exactly what I find with so many people I work with is they come in with a rock solid program. Like they are top notch. They know it inside and out. And by the end, they're reworking their program because they have looked at it in a new light, right?
Dang, I got to re-record this thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's different to try and teach someone in writing. You have to be a lot more in depth, a lot more explicit. You gotta cover it in different ways than if you were talking.
Exactly.
And I think my coaches recognize that shift, and it's so good because they're now appealing to different styles of learners.
Yeah. So it's the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic learners.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. And it's just incredible. So that's so great. So I'm going to wrap up. Do you have any piece of advice for aspiring authors or established authors?
I think the piece of advice I would have is consider how a quiz funnel, for example, whether you do it yourself or whether you go and work with somebody to build one for you, is consider how powerful that would be in terms of hyper qualifying those potential leads coming through, potential book readers. And your lever here is your book. That is where you want to get your brilliance into the hands of your audience. Have a think about how you could apply a quiz funnel to build that know, like, and trust, hyper qualify those leads, get the book into their hands, and then that book is then doing a lot of the conversion legwork for you into your high ticket coaching programs if you have them.
Great. And do you have any freebies for our listener?
I do indeed, yep. So if you go to maeveferguson.com/lifestyle, we have, guess what, a quiz for you where you can discover what is your evergreen lifestyle business potential.
Beautiful. So we'll put that link in the comments or in the show notes, and you can get free access to that. Okay. Thank you so much. This was such a wonderful time. And thank you for all the tips on quiz funnels. That's really valuable stuff for the listeners.
No problem at all. And absolutely lovely to be here. Thank you very much.